So there was an idea last year, okay, and the year before that, when Star Wars Episode 7, A Force Awakens came out, and Rogue One came out the following year. For us here at the channel to do a Star Wars week where I post a review of all of the classic and prequel Star Wars movies before the new one comes out. And with December 15th right around the corner for Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, I figured no better time than the present, right?
Shut up and sit down.
Hey guys and girls, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Mr. Midnight. Of course, you guys already probably know that. And today's review is going to be one of the greatest sci-fi stories, sagas, whatever you want to call it, of all time. It's humble beginnings from Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, starring Carrie Fisher and, well, the late Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford as Han Solo, and appearing in Star Wars The Last Jedi, and appearing in the little part that he had in Star Wars The Force Awakens. That's right, Mr. Mark Hamill himself, Joker. Yes, a lot of you probably know him as Joker, and he is an amazing Joker, but he's also an amazing Jedi. So this Star Wars film was made in a time when sci-fi movies weren't really all that popular, but they were getting there, and this really pushed everyone over the edge, okay? It amassed such a following that a lot of movies have a hard time even competing with a movie of this caliber, even a series of this caliber. And it did so many different things and broke so many barriers and things of this nature that people just, they flock to it. They flock to it. And that's why Star Wars Episode 7, when it was announced that it was actually being made, people were really scared, because there's a big divide. I'm not gonna lie. There's a big divide between the original three and what everyone so aptly and lovingly, I guess, call them the prequels. Okay? And the prequels, man, there's just, I personally enjoyed the prequels because it gave me kind of a background on Anakin Skywalker and how Luke and Leia came into the picture. But a lot of people, many people, did not like the tone of the prequels, only because of the massive political mayhem and things of this nature that were just intertwined with the main story. And that and some of the acting was a little subpar. Hayden Christensen, looking at you, you've made some amazing movies since then, but that was one of your first breakout roles. Could have done a little bit better, just a little bit. But for what we got, I don't think they were pretty bad at all. To me, those were my Star Wars, and the original episodes 4, 5, and 6 were my parents' generation Star Wars, other people's parents' generation Star Wars, and I didn't actually get into it until I watched the prequels. But we're not here to quibble or to argue over whether the prequels were better than the originals. We're just here to review them. So as I said in my intro, this is my review of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. And you should already know the storyline, okay? But if you don't, just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna splash the spoiler warning up here, because, you know, some people haven't seen it. I actually know someone who hasn't seen it, doesn't care to see it. We're going to try to convert her. Don't worry, we're going to try to convert her. So, Star Wars A New Hope is the story of Luke Skywalker's beginnings, okay? You find him on the moisture farm in Tatooine, which is the planet from the other prequels that you probably heard of. And he's with his Uncle Lars and his aunt. And he's just a simple moisture farmer. He doesn't know anything about his past, about his father, about anything, okay? All he knows is that his father was killed in a tragic accident. No one will tell him anything. Until two little droids C-3PO and R2-D2 come into his life, and there is a recording on R2-D2's hard drive of a small little woman, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you are my only hope. That was the exact recording, and this thrusts him into the adventure. This thrusts him into the whole galaxy, saving the universe thing, and putting him into his father's world, basically, because as we all know at this point, Darth Vader is an official Last Jedi Sith thing at this point in the story. So this is what thrusts him into the adventure, and thus we have the New Hope. And I gotta tell you, the first time I saw it, I thought it was absolute garbage. I'm not gonna lie. I know I'm gonna probably get hit on the head multiple times by some people for that, but I did. I really did. I thought it was kind of campy. It was kind of old-fashioned for me. Didn't care for the effects at all. And then the digitally remastered stuff that came out later, after the prequels, the whole replacing certain characters with certain characters from the prequels, I didn't agree with that at all. But I digress. So like I said, it didn't really hit my interest much when I watched it as a kid, okay? And I watched this when I was probably 10, 11 years old at the time. It didn't pick me up and drop me off into interest. Like many of my interests back then, Jurassic Park, Godzilla, things of this nature. Heck, I even like the Godzilla films over Star Wars: A New Hope and the other two, Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi. I didn't really care for them. Return of the Jedi was actually my favorite out of the three because it was a little bit more advanced. It pulled me in a little bit more. So, as far as effects go, it really isn't much. But then again, we're talking about one of the first of its kind. Okay, one of the first sci-fi action adventure kind of thing that was ever released. Okay, and the effects weren't all that great. And George Lucas himself was even frustrated that he couldn't do what he wanted to do in the effects with the miniatures and everything of this nature. So even he thought it was a little crap at the time. The things that I loved and liked in this movie, again, are kind of grouped together. Okay, the story is the beginnings of an amazing saga. Okay, we have the beginnings of a lightsabers and X-wing TIE fighter battles and just the beginnings of something amazing. Okay, and I love that. But then again, it didn't pull me in when I was younger because of the effects. Now I watch it and I'm like, ooh boy, Star Wars. So likes and loves are pretty much grouped together in the same category, for me anyway. Now you've already seen and heard what I didn't particularly care for. The miniatures, you could tell they were kind of fake. I watched Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom the other day, and there was a miniature part in the mine shaft. Yeah, that was kind of like that. It was really bad in some points. But a lot of people at the time the movie was released, this was the pinnacle of technology for movies of any genre really back then. So a lot of people loved it. I didn't care for it until it became a little digitally remastered, but that's just me. That and after I watched the prequels. So if there was a rating to be had, okay, if there was an experience to be given, okay, my opinion would be to definitely 110% own this, but here's the caveat. The Blu-rays of old movies, they tend to give a lot away. Now, what I mean by that is, for example, and this movie was made back in 1992-93 time, Jurassic Park, okay, on the Blu-ray, in the scene with the Brachiosaurus tree, if you look up into the corner a little bit, you can see the mesh they used, and I think I saw an air conditioning vent from the soundstage they used on that particular set. Crazy, right? Still my favorite movie of all time. But on the Blu-ray set, it's so HD that you see a lot of the primitive kind of movie techniques that they used back in the day. So if you're going to own this, try to find it in an original DVD format. Even, and I know this is crazy talk for this era, this day and age, but try to find it on VHS if you can. If you got an old VHS player, they probably sell them down at your Goodwill or even on the internet for about 10, 15 bucks at the moment. Try to find it on original VHS or even a remastered VHS, of anniversary set, if you will. That's what I got for Christmas that year. This is what when I was introduced to Star Wars, which was the anniversary set VHS tapes for that year. So try to find it on there. Try to get the original VHS experience. Excuse me. But if the Blu-ray is the only thing you can find, most definitely put that in your collection. And as far as the rating goes, even for all of its technical and special effects glitches that it had, I want to throw a full moon across the scale for this guy. Full moon for Star Wars Episode 4 of A New Hope. I almost said Force Awakens. Not this one. No, it's not this one. That's a whole different can of wax there. But full moon, Star Wars A New Hope Episode 4. Own it. Love it, live it, because this is going to be fantastic. And The Last Jedi is just going to completely blow us out of the water, just like The Force Awakens did. So, full moon, own it on Blu-ray, and that about wraps it up for this review. If you guys liked what you saw in this video, please click the like button right down below. And remember, guys, sharing is caring. Share the crap snot out of this video, out of this channel. We want to add new family members to the Midnight's Premiere family, so again, share this thing on all your social media sites. And speaking of social media, my social media links will be down in the description section as always. And if you want to keep up with all the latest news and videos here on Midnight's Premiere, click the subscribe button for more. My name is Mr. Midnight. This has been another edition of Midnight's Premiere. Thanks for watching, guys.